Welcome back. If you've been wondering where Leanne is all morning, you're about to find out. Meetings of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation at the level of senior officials will begin. In fact, it has begun. It takes place in Pretoria, and that is where Leanne Manis is. Leanne, it's a very good morning. Over to you.
Ayanda, very, very good morning to you. Yes, indeed, this is where I have been this morning, and I can tell you one thing, this is the place to be when all eyes for the entire African continent is possibly here, where decisions, agreements, cooperation agreements, memorandums, understandings, everything is going to be happening as we get basically meetings between our Chinese counterparts and African counterparts getting underway. So it's a very, very good morning to you as we're broadcasting live from the Oliver Reginald Tambo building of the International Relations and Cooperation Department. Of course, this morning we are being hosted by our very own Minister of International Relations, Nkoana-Mashabane, who we're going to have a conversation with in a short while. But we're not alone here this morning. Let me tell you, we are surrounded by dignitaries, ministers, prime ministers, you name it, from our African countries as well. Just to mention a few that are represented here this morning. We've got countries from our counterparts from Namibia, from Zimbabwe, Angola, South Sudan, Ivory Coast, Sudan, Guinea, Niger, DRC, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Madagascar, and many, many more that are here this morning. Just please excuse me if I've left the country out for now, but believe me, we're going to be finding out as this broadcast gets underway the different relationships and the different agreements that have been formed between China and these countries. Now, I know that Ayanda told you a little bit in the introduction as she linked to us here what this is all about. So for the last 2 weeks, South Africa and our African countries have been a hive of activities as they make their way here for this incredible forum of China-Africa Cooperation Summit. This is the 6th forum, but this forum, FOCAC, has been around for, I think, the 15 years now, and it's a very, very big forum where you can find many agreements taking place. In fact, last night we saw major agreements taking place and being signed by the President of China, Xi Jinping, and of course our President, Jacob Zuma, to the tune of 94 billion rand. Well, let's bring the Minister in on that very, very positive note into this conversation. Minister, thank you for hosting us here in this magnificent building and I suppose on a very good day for Africa and for South Africa.
Well, thanks, Leanne, and to all our viewers across the continent. Indeed, this is a very beautiful and memorable day, which has been preceded by another historic state visit by President Xi, with 64 ministers and vice premiers and a business delegation. Indeed, in his second visit, a state visit, as per the invitation of His Excellency President Zuma, we had an unprecedented 94 billion rand worth of agreements signed, which would be a major boost for the South African economy, which responds to the 3 main challenges of many of our African countries, which is unemployment, that is inequality, and poverty. But besides that, it actually was a confirmation that with China, as Africans, we do have a friend who focuses indeed on win-win situation, because the contracts that were signed yesterday were not just a wish list. These are projects and contracts that are in the pipeline that have already been started. And prior to that, there was a buying mission where 20 contracts were signed worth $908 million US. So for South Africa, and I'm sure for Zimbabwe, where His Excellency President Xi started, he has been showing in action that, with his delegation, that this indeed is going to be a memorable FOCAC summit.
Yeah, I mean, taking into consideration this 94 billion rand deals, these deals, which, as you say, span across not just one sector. I mean, these are many sectors, from marine cooperation, infrastructure development, human resources cooperation, financial cooperation. There were also memorandums of understanding that were signed as well. But where was the biggest amount contributed in the deals? Where were they signed?
Almost 50 billion was based on cooperation in the motor manufacturing company of China with the IDC. The other ones were with financial institutions here in South Africa and China, which then made up the 50 billion, rather than the Umsubuvu Dam and many other projects. And the other one would include the iron and steel that is coming in the name of the special economic zones in Messina, in Limpopo. I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, okay, we'll believe you on that one. This really rounds up 2 incredible years. We are, of course, going to be focusing a lot on the continent as well, but let's just focus just for a short while on the South Africa-China relations, because we look at these last 2 years, and we had 2014 that was entirely dedicated to South Africa in China. This year, with an announcement like this, we've got the rounding off of the China in South Africa. Let's just talk about those cultural exchanges. How these two.
What is exciting for us, for these relations, Leon, is that it really, during President Xi's time as president of China, the current president, we've seen the relations between our two countries really growing through mutual trust and focusing on win-win cooperation, going further down to not just political relations, but economics and trade relations. And as you rightfully said, there's been, in 2014, a year of South Africa in China, and 2015, a year of China in South Africa. This has taken the relations between the two countries to people-to-people relations, like deepening that. So this relations has gone into all the important sectors, because it's one thing for governments to establish good relations amongst states, but it's equally important that ordinary people also feel that they are part of this exciting moment. In the 6 identified priorities in the last state visit, which you had outlined, in addition to that, there was also an offer for 2,000 scholarships. And we've seen higher education, Department of Higher Education in South Africa, and many other of our departments taking full advantage of this. One of the major supporters of our SKA, which is a project that is shared by more than 8 countries in our continent, is supported by China. Yeah. So that's really on taking our relationship to a highest height. Like the President had said last night, President Zuma, His Excellency, that in China now we can say that this relationship has never been this good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, to quote President Xi, he was saying that this particular FOCAC is with the intention of looking forward to injecting fresh impetus into the future of China-Africa friendships and the cooperation under new conditions. Those are the intentions of the Chinese coming here into South Africa and, of course, meeting with their African counterparts. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll continue this discussion. Remember, you can get hold of us at Morning Live SABC. Send us your views and opinions and questions as well.